In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as tomorrow's legends.
Welcome to the Waverider, friends. That's a ship that travels the timeline. The thing about timelines is they can be changed. So our mission's to keep it cemented.
Oh my god, you didn't just turn our ship into a kids show, did you?
Oh, hello there. You must be Harley. I've heard you might be coming by for a visit.
Oh, Flash, I'm telling you right now, you better cut this out or else.
Well, it seems our new friend has some issues to work through. Come over here and have a seat. Let's talk about what's bothering you.
I don't want to. Whoa. Okay, this is a nice couch.
There, see? Just get comfortable and soothe your feelings away. Now tell us, what's causing all this stress?
Well, okay, so there's this guy, and I feel like he doesn't see me as his equal. He just laughs all the time, and I never know when he's being serious about us or if he's just totally over it. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
Hello, Legendaires. Welcome back to our neighborhood. We're here to cover Season 5, Episode 7, Mr. Parker's Cul-de-sac. Or shall we call it Mr. Flash's Waverider?
Oh, love it. Love it.
I am the cardigan-wearing Flash.
And for some reason, I'm a very open Harley Quinn. Hello, legends.
And Gideon is here to serve us tea, I guess. Oh, I can't believe I just sung on the podcast. That is crazy.
I can't believe he did either. That was good. That was really good. I was not expecting that one for sure.
I was wondering if you can barely contain yourself, but that was fun.
I'm a professional, Flash.
That's true. Well, welcome to Mr. Flash's Waverider.
Love it.
We have got something to get into today. We have gotten so much crazy feedback. This is amazing. This is unprecedented for this season.
Yay! I'm excited. We have people with us again.
We do. And to start it off, we actually have a letter for Letters from the Timeline. Letters lost in the timeline. And this one comes from our new friend Talia White, or not White, Talia Witt. I'm sorry, Talia Witt. Let's see. She's got a very long email here. It is a catch-up. She says, I have just caught up on the entire podcast so far and wanted to give feedback on it. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. All right, Harley, I will read season 1, 2, and 3, and you finished off.
Okay, sounds good.
That seems to work. Okay. So she continues. Season 1. On the first watch of this season, I unfairly hated Ray, mainly due to the forced relationship with Kendra that had zero chemistry. Even on rewatch, I hate that pairing. And the only characters that were good the first time around were Snart and Sarah. I do agree it was better on rewatch. I was able to appreciate the other characters more. However, I still find it to be the weakest season. Okay.
All right. That's fair.
Cool. Yeah, we completely changed our minds on it, but yeah, that's okay. I do agree with you. Sarah and Snart were the best two, of course.
Absolutely.
She goes on, season 2, another season that was helped by a rewatch. It had a great story arc with the Legion of Doom, good character development of Sarah becoming captain. It was fun to see Evo rip, and it was Nate's best season to date. Oh, she's ahead of us. We haven't done our season 2 rewatch yet.
I know we haven't, but I think that's our summer plan, perhaps.
Yes, that's got me excited. Yeah. All right, in season 3, she says, this has to be my favorite season by far. I know you guys are down on it a lot, but hear me out. It has a lot of things in it that were great and some things missing in season 4. Ray, being a scientist / inventor, he used his knowledge to try and help split Firestorm up, and he invented the nanite gun to help stop Malice. The introduction of Zari, no romantic relationship this season for her, and quite possibly the best Legends episode, Here I Go Again, the Groundhog Day episode.
Yes.
I totally agree with you on that one. That was awesome. The Time Bureau, a great addition to the show, and it gave Rip an interesting story for this season. Also, the opportunity for Sarah to give Rip the verbal smackdown that he deserved. I'll let you take over from there, actually. Harley, I just realized that it's much shorter after that.
Oh, sure. All right. She continues with Avalance, which, yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. The best crossover so far. Yes, they killed off Stein unnecessarily, but the rest of the Earth X storyline was good. 100% agree. 100% agree. Damien Dark switching sides to save his daughter. Nora and Ray.
Was all of this in season 3?
It was, and I completely agree with her. I think going back on a rewatch, we'd like season 3 a lot better.
I think so. I don't remember being down on it. I actually thought we quite enjoyed season 3. It was season 4 where we started to lose grip and stuff.
I think so too. I think we were down on season 4 a little bit, and the finale kind of killed us with Bebo.
That's what it is, the finale, yes.
Yeah, the finale kind of killed us. But up until that, I think it had a rocky start in the beginning. But if I recall, it picked up nicely, and we actually really enjoyed it, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with pretty much all of her points right there. So
Totally, yeah. No, excellent points. All right, so she goes on.
She does. I know it had Bebo in it, but please don't let that erase all the good in this season.
Again, at the very end.
At the very end. I agree. All right. So season 4, the season was not the strongest as a whole, but had a lot of fantastic standalone episodes, i.e. the musical episode, the crossover with itself, and the IKEA episode. Getting to see Brandon Routh play an evil character was great, and Nate's relationship with his father gave a good backstory for him. I think what makes this season better than season 1 is that I didn't hate any of the characters this time. Some may have been underutilized for sure, but I wasn't cringing when a certain character had a scene, like many of the Hawk People scenes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
I think season 4 has probably been my least favorite season, if I'm being honest. Season 5. So far, I'm really enjoying this season. I like how they have split the show into 2 parts, basically Constantine and Legends. Also, more Ava, which is never a bad thing. Agree. I will be sad to see Nora and Ray go. I hope they do a good job with their departure tonight. I can't wait to see what happens next. Anyways, thanks for the podcast. Tails?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is that your nickname, superhero name, Tails? Because that's kind of cool.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Tally, just thanks so much for just catching us up on all your feelings for the seasons. I'm so glad that you found us and you're able to do that. And I feel for you listening to 4 or 5 seasons of us.
It's a lot.
To catch up, that's a lot. But man, we appreciate your dedication, and it's just fun to hear your take on each season, which we really can't disagree with much that you said at all. It's some good points.
Yeah, no, and a great synopsis, great refresher, if you will. So looking forward to hearing you in current time. Yay. Or on current episodes, I mean.
Yes, we got feedback from her at the end of this episode too, so it's good.
Fantastic.
Now, moving on from that, we're going to move right into our news section.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
All right, so there's a little bit of scheduling stuff here you want to remind people about, or that you found out about?
I sure did. So I was doing our weekly check to see how everything was going to be handled, and it looks like the CW has finally sorted out their scheduling issues. We are on every week for the next however many weeks that is, with our finale airing on May 5th, unless they change something. So
May 5th, eh?
Yep.
Still seems kind of quick.
Well, yeah, we don't have any breaks, and it's only technically 15 episodes because one of those was Crisis. Or one of our episodes was Crisis. No, 14 episodes because one was Crisis. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, that's good though. Nice straight run, no big breaks. That's actually better.
It's probably better for the show. I did take a look at there was like a viewership graph on that same Wikipedia page, and oh man, it's kind of depressing to look at. There's been a very steady decline. Oh
no, really?
Yeah. Season 1 was still the all-time high, and it's just gone down, 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 down since then, unfortunately.
And it's never picked up
Not there's a couple spikes here and there, I think, for the crossovers. But overall, if you were to like look at an actual trend line, it's pretty much a downward decline.
And yet they still renewed for season 6. That's crazy.
They did, yeah. Which is good. I guess that means we weren't canceled. So
yeah. At least you got one more season of Us in your ears anyway.
I know.
All right. Now, this next thing, I want to say thank you to Daryl Washington because he sent me a link to a news article with, and I know everyone's going to love this, it's an interview with Katrina Law talking about her Nyssa character. And it was just fun to listen to what she had to say about a couple questions. And I'm just going to read you directly from this article what it was. So the article was from TV Line. And they asked her, when Nyssa introduces Sarah as my beloved in the Arrow finale, do you think that's almost a formal title at this point, or is there still a torch being carried? And Katrina responds, I think Nyssa's always going to have a torch for Sarah. Sarah is her beloved. She is the love of her life. She is her soulmate. That being said, soulmates take on different forms, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be together. I think Nyssa has moved on in her own way and knows that Sarah is living her life. She respects Sarah in what she's doing, but at the same time, she's always going to be the number one love of her life. She will always carry that for Sarah. See, now that I think is a very satisfying answer because it's endless the amount of complaints that you hear, whether it's from our own listeners or people on Arrow Squad or people just online about they never finished the Nyssa and Sarah story, and half of the fans want her to be with Sarah instead of Ava still. So it's kind of a tug of war, but I appreciate this answer from Katrina herself, the girl who plays Nyssa, that she understands. Nyssa understands that Sarah has moved on with her life and it's okay. They don't have to be together. Yeah. But she still loves her like a beloved. So that's a cool answer.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of, I think, the conclusion both of us had come to. Yeah. And I think, but it's good.
All right. Well, I'll read the second question here by TV Line.
All right. So the second question says, I was watching their reunion very closely. Was there any debate about how warm it should be, knowing that Sarah is in a serious relationship? Was any flirtation dialed back, or was it simply what we saw? So her answer, there was a lot of discussion. The script changed a little bit. Again, because scenes are written in and then taken out, and then we didn't know what would be able to film or not. So yeah, there was discussion of paying respect to Avalance and still holding up the same for Nysera. It was a delicate balance of how do we go forward with this and describe exactly what our relationship is now.
Yeah, so obviously they didn't have it really fully fleshed out. They were still in confusion about how to deal with it, how to handle this, because they know what that means to fans and to the story of the characters.
Yeah, I think what they did with it made sense. I realize it caused some confusion for some people, but I don't think it really caused that much confusion for me. So I felt like the answer is already the kind of how the conclusions I had already kind of come to by watching the crossover. Yeah. But
I just like that it's coming from Katrina herself about this. This is how she takes it. So if that's her perspective, then that's good.
Yeah.
Now, these last couple of questions, just real quick, but they actually make me laugh. TV Line continues, says, are you interested in someday popping up on Legends of Tomorrow to actually explore the Nyssa-Ava dynamic? And she says, fingers crossed, because I would love to mess with Ava a little bit. And then TV Line says, hey, she's nice. You don't want to mess with her. And Katrina says, she is nice. But then TV Line finishes, Nyssa would probably just want to evaluate if she's worthy. And Katrina says, yeah, I totally need to see if Ava's worthy of Sarah.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah, so there you go. So I thought that was fun, and just thanks again, Daryl Washington, for that little article, sending it to us. That's just fun to see, because we know there's a lot of people concerned about the Nyssa storyline not ever being finished. True.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. What do we want to remind people of, Harley?
All right. Well, we would like to remind people that we have a Patreon page. So if you would like to show your support, maybe get some swag, you never know, go on over to our Patreon page, and Martin is going to tell you how to do that.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
continue to support the show. We much appreciate it. Just shows how much you appreciate all of our work and effort.
Absolutely.
And that is all I got for news.
We now return you to our regularly scheduled podcast currently in progress.
Yes. All right, let's get into this episode. Episode 7. What did you think of it?
Okay, I loved this episode, I will say. I gave it 8.5 bittersweet endings. And I would say this is easily my favorite of the season. I laughed out loud, actually out loud, for most of this episode until it kind of got a bit serious toward the end. I'm a bit sad. This was supposedly our send-off for Brandon and Courtney, because it didn't really seem like a send-off at all to me. So that's a little bit confusing. It was great that we got closure to all their stories. She got closure with her dad. We got resolution, or I guess closure of what happened to him by the end of this episode. And her and Ray got married. So I like that they wrapped up all their storylines, but I don't feel like it was a clear goodbye episode because the team didn't get to say goodbye. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. I hope that they come back and that they get to have an actual more formal goodbye like they've done with other characters in the past. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I thought it was really great. It was my favorite so far. So what did you think?
I'm going to sound like a broken record here because you almost word for word said a few of the things I have written in my.
Sorry, I promise I didn't read yours.
So I'm going to say it just as if we never heard yours. And I'm going to give this an 8 wacky, crazy legends and an unfinished goodbye. Can we get any crazier and zanier on our show? And I mean, talk about throwing every type of sequence they can think of into the mix. Action, humor, tear-inducing emotion, tension, everything. But what worked this week is that it all flowed, like actually stitched together in a way that the story never felt interrupted. We went from emotion to reaction without missing a beat. And I ended up not taking many notes at all because of it. Give credit to the director and editor on all of that. But this one did get to me in a couple ways. That whole musical montage of the wedding was really beautifully done, and it brought me to tears, even more so on the second watch, which surprised me. I actually had tears streaming down my cheeks on the second watch during that sequence. It was just a really, really sweet scene that they put together, and I was ramping up for a big emotional goodbye. And nothing! And I felt gypped, I felt ripped off, I felt cheated. This was their last episode, and they don't even get a farewell from everyone. Lesser beloved characters got at least that, like Jax and his farewell party they had for him. Oh, I was grumbling, I was dumbfounded. Until later that night, I saw online that they just might be in the next episode to say farewell after all. All I can say is, they better darn well be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I most certainly hope that they are. That was not clear. Just Damien's sidebar conversation with Ray, it was not clear enough to me. No, they need to actually say goodbye and they need to show it. If that happens off screen, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, totally. It was not respectful to them, and I'm wondering if this ties into. We can talk about it a little bit here, but Brandon Routh, who plays Ray, has gone publicly. If any of you have heard the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville, fantastic podcast, by the way. He had Brandon Routh on there in his newest episode, and Brandon opened up a little bit about it, saying that, they didn't handle him exiting the show very well at all, and he's quite disappointed with it. And him and Courtney are quite upset that it did end for them quite a few months ago, and they're still dealing with it, still dealing with the mental stresses and things that it's caused from them being taken off the show, because he totally admits it was not their choice. They did not want to leave. The writers wrote them off. Yep. And he's quite upset about it, and they're suffering. There's a little bit of trauma from it and stuff. So I wonder how much of that plays into the way this supposed final episode for them was done. I mean, to not even get a goodbye. Yeah, I would imagine that has something to do with it. So I really hope that since this season has been filmed and produced long before it's been aired, that they had time to do reshoots and do some switching around and maybe hear some of the fan backlash, because we've known for months
definitely while they were filming, maybe even prior to them filming, that Courtney and Brandon were leaving. And I think there's been a lot of outrage over the characters being written off the show, especially since it was not the actors' choices.
Yeah, and I mean, that could be, they might find they're going to lose a lot more viewers. If the numbers are already going down and they're writing off two of their most favorite characters, they might see their numbers even crash more.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting season 6. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Now, one little point again about his interview on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, the one part that really struck me hard and actually brought a tear to my eye for Brandon was his very last day on set. The last scenes that he was filming, he wasn't with any of the cast. He was all by himself in a green screen room wearing a green screen suit, whatever he was working on. It was just him and a couple of the crew members, the camera operators, assistant director, whatever. That was it. The entire cast was gone. They weren't even on set that day. So his very last moments on this show of this character that he's played for 6 years, there was nothing there for him. He was by himself. He finished his scenes and went back to the makeup trailer, and that's when he had an emotional time. It's like, really? That's how you're going to treat this guy?
Yeah, that's
not even allowing him to end
terrible.
with his fellow actors and get to have a moment with them on set. He just closes up with the little bit of crew that's there and basically walks back to his trailer and I guess that's it. Bye. It's sad. The way he tells it breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's extremely sad, and it makes me angry, quite honestly. But
yeah,
I would have expected more for a character that has been with the show since the beginning. I mean,
even before the beginning. I mean, on
I
Arrow.
know, yeah. I know, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So
it's upsetting.
It is very upsetting.
But so hopefully, I don't know. We'll have to see how they wrap it up. We'll have to see if anything comes out of this fan outrage, like you said.
Yeah.
Maybe the fans are going to tell the show just by not even supporting it and watching it anymore, and season 6 will be the end for us.
Yeah. I mean, it might be. I think we should all probably be prepared for that.
Yeah.
So,
which sucks.
I mean, either way, 6 years is a pretty good run.
That's not too bad. Not too bad at all for us and our first podcast too.
I know.
All right, well, let's move on to positive things. Let's move on to this episode because it actually was a really good episode. We both rated it pretty high. We both had a good time.
We did.
Let's get into talking about that stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well, why don't we start with the meat of the episode with the encore of the week, who was none other than Damien Dark.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. So, and because he's back, because I know I had forgotten, hadn't really been thinking about the moment that he died would be the moment he returned. So when we started with a brief return to the Wild West and Bebo and Gary picking everything up, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's where he died. So that's, where he would come back to. So I liked that they did that. And I thought the scene where they basically get to save Gary, this all happens really quick in the beginning. It was super interesting, and we can maybe unpack this a little because he's the Gary that's quote from the present, but to him, his present is 2018, and we're like, it's 2020, Gary. So I think that's super fun, and I like that they're able to kind of go back and like play with that using different characters. Like it was just Sarah and Ava, so time doesn't completely explode, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay. Let's slow down the horses here for a second, because I actually, even 2 times through, I was confused with this whole sequence of events here.
Okay.
Let me just see. I'm going to tell you what I picked up on, and you tell me if I'm correct here. Okay. What I saw was Damien goes back to 1847 or whatever it was, and gets Gary in the pit while he's cleaning up, takes his time courier, and then goes to present day to see Nora. Yet Gary is left tied to the train tracks, where Sarah and Ava then go to rescue him. Yet it's 2018 Gary. Hence why he is phasing out during the dinner preparation, because that future version of him wouldn't be there if he does indeed get run over by the train. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. And the reason that Damien is in that time period to begin with is that was where he died. So that's where he's resurrected.
Okay, so that makes sense. But then why 2018? Because it's 2018 Gary from that season that is back in time with the team.
Yeah, so keep in mind that Damien Dark was Mollis, and Bebo defeats Mollis, therefore also killing Damien Dark. So when he's resurrected, he's resurrected moments after his death, which would be why 2018 Gary was there picking up the pieces, because what else is Gary going to be doing? He's that guy. He's the one that does that. He's cleaning up the mess.
Now, is that how all of the Encores that they get resurrected back to their point of death?
Yes.
The moment in time? Oh, okay.
Or where their corpse is or was, because Khan was buried in some impenetrable tomb, which took him 700 years to dig out of, which is how he ends up in 1997. And then all of the others were basically, like Marie Antoinette, they established that she was supposed to have already died at the time period they're going to. Like, she was already supposed to be dead. And the same with all the others. So, yeah. Basically, they're living. That's what's setting off the Encore prognosticator, is that they're living beyond their time that they should have been dead in. So
I don't know why I didn't connect that for some reason, that they were coming back to life at the moment that they had died, the exact same time point. So that's interesting. Now this Gary thing makes a little more sense.
Yes.
And
yes.
Why it was that I just lost track that this was from a couple seasons ago, which was 2018, and that's why it's 2018 Gary. I hope I'm not the only one that got confused by that.
You're probably not. But I loved it. I'd like to see them play more with that. Because in theory, as long as Gary doesn't come face to face with himself, then, time won't completely implode or whatever. But I do like that they were able to play with that, going back to a time when a character assumes that he's from the quote present, and he's really not. It's his present, but it's not our present. And I love that.
That was pretty fun. We actually got some good time travel fun.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so this goes without saying, like, I can't not say this. Damien Dark's, like, every time he says, "Hi, Nora doll," and then he says, "Daddy's home," I'm like, that is, like, literally the creepiest thing ever. Like, it just is so cringy to me whenever he says that.
Cringy is right.
So cringy. But anyway, I love Damien Dark. You all know I love Damien Dark. So I was super glad when we got him back as our encore to kind of close out his story and to close out Nora's story. So I found that very helpful to get that closure. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does add to it that they bring him back, and it's interesting because he's dead, right? So they found a cool way through the Encores to bring him back here. And Neil is just awesome as Damien, like he's always been. I mean, he's always been great as the character. It just didn't work on season 4 of Arrow, was it?
Yes.
He just didn't work there as the villain for Arrow, but Neil has still always played the character with such gusto, and it's always been so much fun. You could tell that he was just really relishing the last kick at the role here. Yeah. And like I said, it was just cool the way they brought him back for one last time. But here's something I wanted to point out. That also takes another Hell coin off the board. And we still haven't gotten any of the big bads yet. This is another one of the upside down coins. Yeah,
this was another one of the upside down coins. I'm keeping track, and we have 4 more hidden coins. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flipped over coins that we have not seen. So,
and not enough episodes. So I wonder if the writers have changed their minds that we might not see some of these names that we actually saw on the coins.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting because at the very least there were 16 coins, we counted it. So they either have to not use all of them, or they're going to have to shove a couple into one episode.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'll be curious to see. I hope they don't rush it. I hope it doesn't get squished together where everything feels rushed. Like at the very, like our finale. Oh, the last 5 coins. Blah, here they all are. Like,
I know. Yeah, that would just kind of make me roll my eyes. We'll have to see what they do with it. I mean, technically they've still got time, but we'll see.
Yeah. But Damien Dark gets to meet John Constantine.
Absolutely.
I had no idea they never met before.
Me either, but I love that they knew each other by reputation. It totally made sense. And man, this was a great scene. Oh, it was such a great scene because he went from like campy legends back to full on like a dark season 4 Arrow Damien Dark because he was with Constantine and it worked so well. Like you said, everything they did this episode was just seamless. Like he 100% went from campy legends to like super dark and like almost in the middle of a scene, and it was flawless. It worked so well.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved getting to see them duel with the magic. It was awesome. Constantine had his fire hands back, which I always like. So I don't know. It was cool to see their magic go toe to toe, and just to get the reminder of just how powerful Damien Dark truly is.
Yeah, when you say fire hands, I'm thinking, so instead of jazz hands, he does fire hands.
Yes, I mean, you know what
So
I mean.
funny.
It's that classic Constantine, like, wow.
Yeah, but like you said, because they never met before, but they instantly recognized each other, so it must be by reputation. And it was such a great scene. And it makes me think that Damien would be a great villain if they rebooted Constantine.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Bring Damien over there, because this whole scene, that magic fight, was awesome. And I was actually disappointed that it got cut so short, because I really wanted to see where it escalated to. That would have been awesome.
That would have been cool, but they had to fit a whole wedding into this episode, so I get it.
I mean, like I said, after I wanted to see it escalate. At least later in the episode, when he finds out the lie, like you hinted at here, they showed us how powerful Damien really is. And I think that's more powerful than we maybe have ever seen him, because he had the entire team in his grasp and throwing them up against the wall and lifting them in the air, and he shut down Constantine. I mean, it's actually really freaky how much power he has.
It is. And I mean, he's extremely powerful. And I think that's something that we forget because, again, they had to tone him down on Legends. Mm-hmm. And they relied on the Legion of Doom dynamic. Then they relied on his relationship with Nora. And so they tried to just slowly kind of tone him down. But yes, being able to like have the Constantine feel this season and having him do almost that 180 flip. Oh, man, it worked so well. So well.
Yeah, it was great, from loving, caring dad to, whoa, Constantine, and just immediately getting into a fight with him. Yeah, it was great, a great turn.
It was so great. Yes, because I don't think we actually talk about this anywhere in the episode, and I think there's some debate to it. What is happening to the Encores that are being killed? Are they going back to hell, or are they gone? When they get killed with the, like, Damien stabs himself with the Hellfire sword. Mm-hmm. Khan was killed with the Hellfire sword. Bugsy was killed with his bullets. I think the only ones not dead are Rasputin and Marie Antoinette. So are the other ones gone? Because Astra can't... I feel like them doing that is so Astra can't use them anymore. So where do they go? Do they go back to hell, or are they like obliterated from the timeline?
I think they're gone. I don't know if obliterated, but I think they're out of Astra's reach. She basically withdrew the coins, and she was in control of their souls. Mm-hmm. And she can call them back and forth as often as she wanted. Because she had control. But I think if they get killed in that way by these hell weapons, that breaks the bond to the coins, and they probably go back to hell and suffer. Because Damien says something in this episode. He says, "Oh, Astra's going to call me back any moment now to torture me and wreak havoc on me because I'm not doing what she wants me to do." So I think that's why he kills himself, because he'd rather than be under her control, he'd rather go back to hell and be part of whatever the regular torture is in hell. Yeah. That he might be able to find a way, because he promised Nora, yes, I'll always be here for you. I'll always, come see you when I can, kind of thing. So maybe that's his way of, I mean, it's Damien Dark. He's one of the warlocks, so maybe he can figure a way out. Once he's out from under the grasp of Astra, he can figure a way to come check in on Nora. That's what I got from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been very clear that it's supposed to sever the bond with Astra. I just wasn't sure if it took it one step further and like truly like killed them, like erased their soul. Like I don't even know how that would be possible, but
that might still be a possibility, because he was crying at the end of the episode. He wanted to. He said what he needed to say to her. He wanted to make sure she felt secure and safe, and he didn't. He did say he doesn't want to ruin her happiness, so he's just going to step out. And killing himself gets him away from Astra, and maybe they do. Maybe they're wiped from history, wiped from existence. And that's why he was crying. He was saying goodbye to his daughter one last time, and that's why he was sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I feel like that would make those scenes that much more meaningful.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that might be where I think we need to go with this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that was my tangent. So,
which is probably why I was crying that whole sequence, because it was getting me in that way.
It was very emotional. It was very well done. I really
music
enjoyed
and
it.
Oh my god, everyone's crying. I'm crying. That's like, jeez.
I know. All right. So I have to talk about this scene with John Constantine and Nora. Which he has no idea what's going on. This is just after, him and Damien are kind of getting into a duel, and Nora stops them. And she just plants a kiss on him, and it was just priceless. It was so funny to me. He's like, what is going on? And Sarah's like, go with it. And it was great. I don't know. I really loved, we can maybe talk about this a little bit more, but I loved everything Courtney did with Nora. Like, this was easily my favorite thing about this episode was her. I loved every moment she was on screen, and I'm really sad this was the swan song for this character. I'm so sad.
Yeah, that whole sequence was just funny. Everyone's stumbling their way through the awkwardness of everything.
Yes.
And it's all on the fly too, so that nobody really understands what's going on, and somehow Damien isn't picking up on any of it.
Right? How is he not figuring this out?
It was just funny. It was just well put together by everybody. They acted it really well. But like you said, Courtney, she just steals every single scene that she's in. And they're really are closing her out before she gets to shine fully on the show. And I don't get why either the writers or the producers or the directors, why didn't they pick up on this and realize the absolute gold they have with her and make her a major part of the show, instead of bringing on idiots like Charlie and Mona and all these time wasters and screen time wasters, when you've got a character like Nora and someone like Courtney who plays her. It's the same thing. I call back to Arrow when they brought Felicity on. She was only supposed to be there for that one episode from that one scene, and they realized the magic that they had between her and Stephen Amell, and they signed her on to become a regular character. Why did that not happen with Courtney here? She deserves it. She's far better than half of the cast that have come and gone, that have lasted far longer than we wanted them to. She's amazing. She deserves better.
I agree that they both deserve better. I think they made the decision, when they made the decision to wrap Ray's storyline, I think that sealed Courtney's fate, or Nora's fate.
Yeah.
So if he's not there, it doesn't make sense to keep her around, especially since she's a fairy godmother. So.
No, but my point being is she should have been made a regular character 2 seasons ago when they first introduced her.
I know.
Like, open your eyes. Look at what you've got. It's gold. She is gold.
Yeah, we really thought we had much higher hopes for her in season 4, and they just never materialized. And I think that was disappointing.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. But anyways, okay. Well, would you like to turn over to the inspiration for our episode this week?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I was scratching my head trying to figure out how in the world that this was going to turn into the Legends version of Mr. Rogers. And of course, Ray Palmer has to be Mr. Rogers. So I was like, I know that this is how it's going to happen. I just don't know how they're going to get there. So I thought it was well done. I liked the use of Pippa to kind of achieve that Ray was kind of trying to teach her a lesson, even though Nora was trying to keep him like out of the picture. And then using that and the Legends parody of it, it just was so spot on. I mean, as upset as I am with the writers for getting rid of Brandon and Courtney, like, well done on this. This was very good.
I almost forgot about the Mr. Rogers part coming until Ray gets that basket of VHS tapes. I mean, that part made me laugh because it's a basket of VHS tapes. That's hilarious. But you're right. It was a smart way to switch it over like that. And man, like, just as zany as hell for them to just shift like that into the Mr. Rogers neighborhood with the episode that we had up to that point. I'm like, how are they going to do this? And it worked with Pip. And they've been using this little girl quite a bit. I don't know where they found her, but boy, that little girl can display attitude. Jeez.
Yes, she can.
Yeah, no, it was a good switch. And when she makes the wish later on, I wish we were all in Mr. Rogers cul-de-sac, or not Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Parker.
Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac, and they all just end up in there. I mean, it just got funnier and funnier after that.
Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. Gary as a train is the funniest thing ever. I was just like, oh my gosh, I love it.
Gary's a train, and then Damien and Nora stuck in the chairs, and he doesn't understand what's going on, and then he pulls out the sombrero of, what was it, sombrero of silence or something, or safety?
The safe space sombrero.
Yeah.
When you're wearing the safe space sombrero, is like, oh my god, it's so funny.
Damien can't even speak. He's trying to speak and he just can't. It just kept getting crazier, but it was so well done and so funny.
It was. Oh, it was so great. I loved it. It was very well done. So
yeah.
All right. So is there anything else you want to talk about in kind of like this first chunk of the main storyline? I've got a couple other things called out. I pulled out kind of the Luma Fate discussion with Constantine. I pulled out the Rebecca Silver stuff with Mick. And of course, we can talk about the wedding at the end. So...
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I got a couple points for later on, but let's just continue on with our next main section, I guess.
All right. Well, this will be a pretty short one. There's just a few things that I wanted to talk about, like specifically about the Luma Fate. So I thought it was very interesting that they can change anyone's fate without wrecking the timeline somehow. That's pretty handy, almost hand wavy, if you will. So I guess I like it. Like, I'm going with it because I'm kind of like digging the ties to the Greek mythology and where they're trying to go with Charlie's character. Like, I'm into that. But it is extremely, extremely convenient that a Luma Fate can be used and not completely wreck the timeline. Period. That's all. I guess that's it. I don't know. What do you think about all of that?
Just when we thought we knew all the rules, Harley.
I know. Then there's some Luma Fate. What? Come on.
But I guess if it's what's actually creating fate in people's paths that they have to take without realizing they have to take it, then why wouldn't the Luma Fate be above the rules of the timeline? Because the Luma Fate is creating it. Okay. The timeline is following the paths that the Luma Fate has created. So it actually, if you just think about it, it does make sense that it is above any rules.
I could get behind that. I like that. All right. Well done.
That's my shortest answer yet.
It is, and it makes complete
something
sense. Away. All right, so this next point is absolutely not a plot point, but it has to be shouted out with Constantine wearing the Captain Cold gear and Nate giving him the Captain Cold shout out. He's like, "Where are you going, Captain Cold?" Like, loved it. So funny.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I had that in my notes too. I found it funny because John's actually wearing all of Captain Cold's gear. Like the goggles, the parka, the boots, everything was there. But what made me laugh even more is that when he gets all pissed off and he's stripping down, he's still wearing the trench coat underneath all of that. I mean, Constantine never takes off the trench coat. It's hilarious.
It's his uniform. It's his superhero costume, if you will.
That's his superhero outfit.
He's the only one who's ever in costume.
It's just so funny. And he was actually, I was surprised. He did comedy really well. Even though he was acting all angry and stuff, he did it really well. I was laughing at him being angry. I
was too. It was so great. I loved it. It was a great scene. It's absolutely non-essential to the plot at all. It didn't even matter. But I just like, we have to talk about this.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to move on to Rebecca Silver's troll. I have kind of collapsed all of these scenes into one overall discussion point. So I'm going to say my bit and then let's chat for a minute.
All right.
All right. Now, as amusing as these scenes were as a plot, I felt it was kind of contrived. And I didn't actually think it made sense because Mick turned Rebecca over to Mona, right? So why does he even care? They literally just needed a way to tie this all in with Allie and I guess like, so, let's introduce a daughter because we know they hooked up and had sex after the reunion and blah, blah, blah. And it's convenient at 16 years later. And I'm like, really?
All right. Let me see if I can calm your nerves on that one because it's an interesting point. I actually, this to me makes me laugh because I totally forgot about Mona already. And I'm like, see, useless character. If you can't even remember her a week later, that shows how unvital she was to this show, at least for me. Now, if they could just do that to Charlie. Gone. But anyway, I suppose Mick still wants to follow his fame and see how it's doing. At least with the last book he released, because that's what this was all about, was his last released book that he wrote. He was reading reviews and fanfare about it.
Okay.
So I didn't mind that at all, because for me, Mick was hilarious as always. I mean, being a total ass to his daughter before he knows that it's his daughter. And then he faints. And then he has to wake up and face all of that. I mean, for me, I think it's good story for him. It gives him more depth again, because now we see him struggling with the idea that he's a father. And I think he might go back, because of all the characters, he's the last that we would ever expect to be a family man, to be a father. And that's what his initial reaction is. Same old Mick, like, oh, get rid of it, you know. They don't need me. I don't need them. But I bet you he comes back to them again, and I bet you there's something there. I'm all for it. Any Mick story is great. And what I'm wondering, maybe this will hook you. I'm wondering if they're going to bring his daughter in as a sidekick to him, because she seemed to have a very similar attitude. So imagine this, a female Captain Cold sidekick. What if she takes on that role? Because Mick wants a buddy. He wants someone alongside him. He wants that sidekick, that partner that he can trust and rely on. Who better than his own daughter, who seems to be a dead ringer for him? The amount of attitude she was giving him is exactly what he gives everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I'm on board for her to kind of take over that character, though. But it's an interesting point. It's definitely an interesting point.
Well, we know he's got Captain Cold's gun, right? So I just thought maybe. But even if not, she doesn't take on Captain Cold. I mean, she could just come on and, you know, have time with Daddy, get to know him, and he teaches her to rob banks and all that kind of stuff. I just think it would be fun for Mick.
I think it would be fun for Mick, and I agree with you that it'll give his story. It gives his story more depth for sure. It just the plot point of him caring about having a troll and having bad reviews, and then of course it turns out that, like, you know, the terrible reviewer is his daughter. Spoiler alert. I mean, like, you know what I mean? I was like, I feel like they could have gone about that reveal in a better way. I'm all for the storyline of him getting to, you know, go back and reconcile with Allie, meet his daughter, reconcile with his daughter. Like, I am all for that. I think that's great. Could be a great thing to explore for Mick. But just that particular plot point of how it all came about, I was like, I don't know. It was really fun. The scenes were great. The stuff with Zari was hilarious. Just like, twist. Oh, he's fine. Like, so funny. But I don't know. It did feel like a little contrived to me. But
okay, well, you're allowed to have a nitpick once in a while. That's usually me, but now it's your turn. I'm going to be the good guy this time.
All right.
But I do have a question, though. Is the mind flash thing reversible? Because he flashed them both, and now they don't know a damn thing at all about what the truth is.
I don't know, but I feel like this would be easy enough for him to just introduce himself in a better way, because he didn't exactly make a very good first impression.
No,
Think about that. So now that he knows, he's probably going to weigh on him. You could see it was weighing on him because at the end of the episode. So
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I don't think it's reversible, or maybe it is, but I don't think he would reverse it even if it was. I think he'll look them up and, you know, kind of find a better way to reconnect. Hopefully.
I think so. I think the reason they brought them back is because they have plans for this story to continue. They wouldn't have brought her back. I mean, Allie didn't really mean much other than the high school reunion. Mick had a fling. Yay. That could have been a one and done moment, but they brought her back. That tells me that they're looking to go forward with this idea, story.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Which is character depth for Mick, which is okay. So I'm curious. I mean, I don't want Mick to become a big softy, you know, daddy all of a sudden. I want him to still be Mick, and I just think it would be fun that he takes her under his wing, and because I felt like she was very much like him.
I definitely think she was a lot like him. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure. So more to come, hopefully.
All right, the wedding.
The wedding. Okay, I took very little notes, so it'll be interesting how we end up talking about this. But what I loved was that they got to relive their wedding day. Like, that is so cool. Who gets to do that? I mean, obviously not like completely. It wasn't their family that was there, but like their Legends family was there.
Yeah.
I thought it was really pretty. It was really well done. And
well, I think Brandon actually tweeted about that. He tweeted a picture from when they actually got married in real life, side by side with the clip from the episode, and he's like, he said something like, "How great is it to get to relive your wedding again?" Or he said, "Marry the same woman that you're in love with," something like that. And
yeah,
I think somebody posted that on our Facebook page. It said, "Yeah, it's fantastic. It was so beautiful. The music, their friends. It was just a nice moment on the show that was completely out and away from everything else that's going on, all the history of our show, all the zaniness. This was just a nice encapsulated moment on our show." And at the time when it was happening, I thought, this is such a wonderful way to write them out. A happily ever after moment. Mm-hmm. Until, of course, we got no goodbye scenes, which we're both pissed off about. But in the moment, it was beautiful. And I thought, okay, this is really nice. I'm glad they're doing this for them. It's the best feeling we've had in a while. Great way to end it for them, but
yeah,
and they screwed up.
I know, but it was good. I was glad that we got this, even though there's been a lot of stuff leaked about this online. So I think everybody knew it was coming, but still, it was well done. It was very pretty, so I enjoyed it overall.
Me too.
And we sort of talked about this a little bit, but I really also just enjoy getting to see Damien's softer side, especially when he's with Nora. Like, you really get to see that side of him. And it just reminded me of the almost hero that we kind of got him to become a couple of seasons ago. Like, he sacrificed himself so that everybody could live, or so that Nora could live. Like, he took the demon and he, died because of it. So I liked that. I liked seeing that softer side, being able to have him come back, explore that, get the closure with his daughter, and have her get the closure as well.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might be the last of him. They brought him back for one last guest spot, and that they're closing his story out, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too.
But I do like the story change for him. I mean, if Nora can turn good, why can't he?
Exactly.
Now, if they were to bring him back, for me, it's whether he can resist being bad is where we would get good character moments from him if they brought him back. Because he's going to struggle with resisting doing something bad. But I like I said, I don't think we'll see him again.
I don't think so either. I think this was they completely wrapped Ray and Nora's storyline, and that includes the Damien Dark tie-in. I think we're done with all three characters for good.
Yeah, and I don't know what's coming. Like, if that's two main characters, or 1.5 main characters off of our show, who's going to fill those gaps next season?
Don't forget, Mona can still come back.
No, don't say that. I mean,
I know you don't really like that character, but
they could up Charlie's standing, I guess, since she's kind of helping Constantine quite a bit. They could bring in somebody totally new, like what's his name, Choi, the replacement.
I don't want to talk about that right now.
I mean, they're setting it up. I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do.
I don't want to talk about that right now. I need some time to get used to the fact that Ray is gone.
Well, we're going to have the rest of the season without him, so I guess we're going to be forced to get used to it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, TBD, guys. TBD.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy this Ryan Choi thing. I don't know. I like the actor. I liked the character when they introduced him on Crisis, but I'm bitter that he's... It's going to make me mad if they wrote off Ray just to bring in the same character. I'm not going to like that. Anyways, we can talk about that when it happens, if it happens.
I know. It's crazy. We'll have to see what they do.
Yeah.
Now, 2 points that I want to just throw in just for fun, something that I had fun with, was when Gary was hiding in the pantry and they figure out that they can make a potion, and he jumps out to say that he can make the potion, and he scares Ava. That, to me, was the funniest scene in the whole episode. I burst out laughing. So did Patty Spivot. It was hilarious.
I burst out laughing at most of the Gary scenes when he was winking in and out of existence, and he's like, did I just blink out of existence? And then he disappears. And then when he jumps out of the cupboard, he's like, I volunteer as tribute. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you.
He's awesome.
So funny.
That's as much Gary as we need. He's just in there for the fun. It's awesome.
I love what that
That's
actor
good.
does with that character. It just cracks me up.
And the other part I wanted to make out was, even though it was Charlie in disguise, I still really appreciated seeing Nate be used for historian knowledge again. It was just a nice touch. Now I hope they do more of that.
I agree. It was a nice touch, and I also hope they do more of it. So,
Yes.
although I will say kudos to Nick, because on the rewatch, in the first watch, because you don't know the reveal until it happens. I didn't pick up on the fact that it would, like, the differences in acting between, Nick playing Nate as Nate and Nick playing Charlie as Nate. And
No.
on the second watch, they are distinctly different. And so kudos to him for very subtly differentiating and almost absorbing Maisie's acting techniques as Charlie. It was well done.
Yeah, that was cool.
Down to the
It was really well done.
inflection, even. It was good.
It tricked Constantine, and it was funny how fast he realized. As soon as Nate's like, huh? The Arctic? And the way John just looks, oh, that Charlie. He immediately figured it out.
He did.
Which is cool.
He did.
Well, that is all we got for talking points this episode.
It sure is. It was a great episode. I did really, really like it. I know I was down on just like a couple things, but that's why I gave it an 8.5. It was great, but it wasn't, like amazing for me.
Yeah, it was really good. It was just a very fun, enjoyable episode all the way through, with the one disappointing bit of it not actually being a full-on goodbye.
Exactly.
Other than that, I liked everything. So
Yeah.
All right, let's move into Quote of the Week.
Shape out an eagle.
Now, normally we would have winning quotes from last week. Someone was locked in the pantry and forgot to do something.
I was blinking in and out of existence at that moment in time, okay? Don't judge me. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I totally forgot to post the quotes of the week. Sorry. I'll try to post 2 polls this week. Maybe I should do that now.
Maybe. Yeah, we could. If we could see if people want to vote on all of them, why not? And then we'll just do a double play next week. But for this episode, there was so much fun stuff in here. I'm curious what you decided on for your funny quotes.
It was so hard. I would write one down and then I'd be like, no, this is the one. And I would, put it in. So that my timestamps, I think, got a little screwy. Sorry about that. But the first one I landed on, we're calling PR manager.
Hey, Mick, saddle up. We're going to the Wild West.
Is everything okay in there?
He's been in there for days.
What are you still doing here?
Exfoliating.
Mick, get out of here right now.
What?
What is going on?
Someone's dressing Rebecca Silver online.
Oh, cute. You have a troll.
What's wrong with your face?
Sorry, your mission is to help Mick
Okay, I have so many makeover ideas.
with his troll problem.
That whole scene just cracked me up down
is
to the,
fun.
what are you doing here? Exfoliating.
They've changed Zari enough that I'm enjoying her right now. She's not the annoying, arrogant, self-absorbed online personality, whatever you want to call it. She's
Yes.
bringing out parts of Zari, and I enjoy her interactions with the characters. And her and Mick, again, like they were with original Zari, they're such a good couple together. And I don't mean like romantic couple; they're a good pairing, I should
They're
say.
a good pairing. I agree. I agree.
She's picking up on that chemistry again with this version of Zari, and it was fun. The whole stuff was fun with her and him.
It was. No, I really did enjoy those scenes. I realized we didn't talk about Zari literally at all, but she didn't really have a whole lot to do this episode. So I will say, though, I did really like the point where he asks her if she hacks. He's like, she says, oh, I'm doing such and such, to find where his daughter is. And he's like, you hack? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yes, you are, honey.
But you're doing it right now.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, that was great. So, these things are coming out, and I think Mick may be the one that starts acknowledging it a little bit too. We'll have to see that, hey, wait a second.
I think so too. All right. Well, the second one we called Truth and Consequence.
Why not just tell him the truth?
Oh,
Why not just tell him the truth? Okay, why don't I just tell my megalomaniac dad that his little girl is a slave to the whims of children and she's being an Eagle Scout? That sounds amazing.
I love her delivery.
She is going to be missed. She is so good. Oh, man.
That sounds amazing. Could you get any more sarcastic? Oh my God. Love her.
Yeah, her facial expressions, everything. She is priceless. She is fast one of my favorite characters of the show.
I know.
Totally.
I'm so sad.
Oh.
Okay. Well, speaking of being sad, let's go into serious scenes and be even more sad.
Yeah, I didn't find anything so much sad. This first one I'm calling It's My Life. And this is when Nora first stands up to Damien and says no, and then starts telling him the entire truthful story of what's really going on. I just liked it because she actually stands up to him, and this leads into everything that we already talked about with Damien getting angry, with Constantine, all of that stuff. So it's a good scene. Here it is.
No.
Oh, sorry, what was that? I thought you said no.
No.
I thought she said it. Did she say no?
No. I won't marry John. Because I can't lie to you anymore, Dad.
No, Johnny, say, don't, what are you doing?
Dad, Sarah and Ava aren't my henchwomen. They're just my friends. I'm not a powerful sorceress. I'm a fairy godmother.
Dad, this isn't my house. John isn't my boyfriend.
He is. And I love him madly.
Hi, Damien, Mr. Dark. Since you're here, I was wondering if I could get your blessing to have your daughter's hand in marriage.
Aw, I guess it is a little bit sad. It's happy sad.
It's happy sad. This is a good scene. This is a very good scene.
Hi. Right, just
so funny.
Again, her delivery, like she is really throwing out the emotion of what she's feeling there. Again, that actress, she's amazing.
I know. I know. She's on to bigger and better things. She has to be.
All right. Well, there wasn't really a lot of Ray in this episode. So again, I'm going with Nora. Nora really was pulling the emotions this episode.
Oh, yeah.
And this final one is called A Father's Love. And it's the last scene with Nora and Damien when they were dancing. And he's telling her that he's always going to be there for her. This is where the tears start. It's pretty sad stuff.
Oh.
Here it is.
You know what? You've inspired me to forgo this evil thing. Maybe this old dog can learn some new tricks.
So you stick around for a bit?
Oh, I think it's time both of us move on to the next chapter.
Promise you'll check in on me once in a while.
Of course. I'll never be far.
I used to question everything my eyes couldn't see.
I love you, Nora doll.
Never been religious, yeah, but now I believe you're the reason at the end of the day. 'Cause I get to love you, babe.
Let's go.
Okay.
I get to love you, babe.
Oh, man. I could picture that whole scene.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
That whole sequence alone is worth watching the episode again. It is powerful stuff.
It is.
And I think now more than ever that Damien is saying goodbye. He knows what he's going to do. He's saying goodbye to his daughter. He wants her to just walk away being happy and not know.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's why he says it's time for us to move on to the next chapters. And Man, that song. Wow, they found the right music.
That was a great song. Yeah. Very good choice. Loved it.
All right. Let's move into some feedback.
Feedback.
Twin powers, activate!
All right. Kick it off with our first email, Harley, from Daryl Washington.
All right. Great episode. Of course, any episode that starts with a Bebo flashback, Sarah's arms, and Ava Lance in Old West garb can only be called great.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 there, Daryl.
I'm going 1 out of 3 there, Daryl. Anyways, one of the first times they remember Nate is an Astorian is when Charlie is disguised as him. Astonishing.
Yeah.
Hope I got that inflection right. I never believed Sarah was taking another job, so it just felt like manufactured CW drama. I equate it to Supergirl Season 4, Episode 14, Stand and Deliver, where even though Supergirl said she wouldn't be part of the alien march, I didn't believe it, and then of course she marches at the front. Fair.
Pause there for a second. We didn't actually talk about that whole phone call from Wild Dog. What? That just seemed out of nowhere. Like, wait a second. If she's out in the timeline somewhere, he can't just phone her on her cell phone. He must be able to only reach her when she's there in the present day.
Yeah, I don't know. They play pretty fast and loose with cell phones and the timeline and the time stream and the time anything. So I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that they were trying to have a throwaway line that made it make sense of why she was, quote, in Star City, even though we all know it was because she was directing and filming Crisis. But I think they wanted to, because that was the throwaway line was, oh, I have business in Star City. So now we know she was in Star City interviewing or tracking down a job, or this job came to her attention, whatever it was, because she felt or thought or assumed, apparently incorrectly, that Ava was unhappy on the Waverider and wouldn't want to stay. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I did with that. I agree that it was a bit manufactured, but I think it was manufactured to make that tie-in make sense of when she said, oh, I have business in Star City. This was, in my mind, the quote, business from Star City.
Now, what job do you suppose he would have for her? Because he's becoming the mayor. So an assistant to him of some kind, I'm guessing?
I don't know. That's a good question. Head of security? Deputy mayor?
Oh, yeah. Head of security is a good job.
I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, there we go. Now we talked about it. Moving on.
So, anyways, back to Daryl's email. It says, say what you will about Damien, but he loves Nora so much. But I was upset when he started choking everyone. I kind of was too. But it works out in the end. Anyway, I was deciding murder or suicide as his fate, but I never imagined it'd actually be suicide. I don't think any of us did. I don't understand.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I don't understand introducing the sombrero because it was forgotten pretty quickly that anyone not holding it couldn't speak clearly. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, she kind of tosses it away, so I wonder if her tossing it away kind of breaks the spell. I don't know.
And the fact that she's a fairy godmother, maybe it doesn't work on her anyway.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
They were just doing it to be funny, I think.
I think it was just a funny scene because, Neil was pretty hilarious in it. The way it didn't fit his head and he kept spinning his head underneath it. That was funny.
It was pretty funny. As a ship captain, Sarah can officiate a wedding, so I love that detail. Mm-hmm. Art imitating life in this episode, and I am here for it. Yes. I'm glad Legends has a shorter season because it means lies are revealed more quickly and not dragged out for seasons. If only Kara and Lena could be guests on Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac. I didn't get that. I know it's referencing Supergirl, but I'm going to take your word for it. Yeah. I agree. I'm glad they resolved that stuff quickly.
Just funny stuff. Awesome, Daryl. Thanks for that. And again, thank you for all that great stuff in the beginning of our episode. Next up is a voicemail from the one and only Patty Spivot.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it's Patty Spivot calling in about episode 7. Generally speaking, I found this one very odd, even for Legends. It was odd, just odd, everything about it, but I found myself enjoying it regardless. I had a lot of chuckles, and even though a lot of it seemed to be just driving the storylines forward in huge jumps, it seemed like a big setup episode where they were just trying to get a ton of story in so that they could carry on with whatever's going to happen next episode. It felt a little rushed. It felt a little slammed together. And I did not love how they, I guess, said goodbye to Ray and Nora. If you didn't know they were leaving the show, this episode did zero to tell you that, in my opinion. They just... like, I would expect to see them next episode. In fact, I kind of do, even though all things are pointing to the fact that they're done. It just seemed very non-ceremonious, even though there was a ceremony in a wedding. I do like how they did the wedding, though. It was quick, not like the Olicity and some of the other CW shows where they drag things out and make them super sappy. I know some people really like that part. In fact, some people that I live with really like that part. But I really liked how they just sort of played the music over top and showed the scenes and conveyed the sort of joyful moment, but they didn't drag it out. I really liked that part. Other than that, yeah, no, I don't kind of I can't guess where they're going to pick up next episode, how they're going to do that, just because there was so much going on in this episode. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to what you guys have to say. Maybe you can put some of it together a bit more for me. But yeah, overall, enjoyed it. Mostly because I have so much background and I can put it all together myself. If this was a standalone episode, you'd be totally lost. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
You could tell that one threw one over on her because she even sounded confused in her feedback a little bit.
She did a little bit, yeah. Also, she totally called you out.
He totally called me out. Well, maybe I won't tell everyone that she's not sitting on the toilet during that. If you could hear the water running in the background, that's actually one of the fish tanks. She must have been really close to the fish tank.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I could hear it, and I was like, she must have been by a fish tank because I know you have a bunch of them.
Yeah, too funny. Yeah, she called. I don't know what she's talking about. I love the wedding scenes. I loved it in this episode. I don't know what else she's referring to.
The Arrow wedding, the Flash wedding, the Any weddings.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Patty. Coming up next is Kerry Johnson, and he says, fair warning, this is kind of long. Every time he says that, they're not actually that long.
This is pretty long.
Well, let's see. Let's get through it. There are so many things to like about Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac. While I'm still disappointed that Brandon and Courtney are leaving the show, at least the showrunners are giving them plenty of screen time, and particularly for Courtney, a great ending arc. Other than Mick and Snart, Nora has had the most significant character arc of anyone on the show. Watching Nora try to placate and deceive her father during the most awkward proposal dinner in history reminded me of the zaniness of the Best Threes Company's episodes. Oh, yeah. Awesome relation there to Three's Company. You're right.
Yeah.
The awkwardness is bang on.
Oh, God.
It was also great to see Mick and Zari 2.0 spend time together, while not on the same as when Mick and OG Zari had their moments together. Seeing those two on screen together again just demonstrates the chemistry these two actors generate. It's great stuff. Yes. Watching Zari 2.0 teach Mick how to handle trolls was great, and the heart-to-heart they had after Mick decided that he shouldn't be in his daughter's life was profound to watch. But the fainting scene on the porch when Mick discovered he was a dad was the comic moment of the episode for me. Yeah.
It was pretty great.
My fear, though, is that Mick will ultimately decide to do the right thing and be in his daughter's life, which I suspect will mean he leaves the show. That can't happen. Ooh, I didn't even think of it like that. I hope my idea is far better than that one. He better not leave the show. In fact, you know what? I'm going to quell the worries right now because the actor who plays Mick, Dominic Purcell, was on his Instagram account, and it was a picture of him, and he explicitly says, I want to stop all the worries and the chatter that's out there online right now. I am not leaving this show. I love our little show, and I'm here till the end. So, rest assured. In fact, maybe I'll find that post and I'll put it on our Facebook page. He continues, if anything, he needs to bring Lita onto the Waverider with him. We've not had a father-daughter dynamic on the Waverider, and that opens up great stories for Mick. Yeah, I agree with that. Besides, With Ray and Nora leaving, there will be room for 2 more in the Waverider. Fingers crossed. It was so much fun to have Neil McDonough's Damien Dark back. He is such a diverse actor. Initially in the ep, he played Damien with just the right amount of quiet danger that you never knew what he was going to do. You never knew if he was going to crack jokes, dote on Nora doll, and scarf down Chocolate Mousse, or go completely unhinged and mass murder everyone. Even during the wedding, I thought he might still do something evil. You can tell McDonough loves the character, and the show loves writing for him. For all of Damien's flaws, he has always loved his daughter, and his best moment, in my opinion, was when he realized the best thing for his daughter was something he had never been able to give her. Happiness. Yes. Also true. Very well spoken. That's a difficult thing to come to grips with, but he did. That was great to see. I also love that the show didn't try to make Sarah forgive Damien. I am a big fan of the Black Canary character, and from the very beginning, the show Arrow didn't know what to do with her, and did incredible disservice to the character at nearly every turn. It would have been the biggest slap in the face if Legends writers decided to have Sarah forgive Damien for killing Laurel. I'll always have trouble with Arrow for what they did to the character of Laurel Lance, and Sarah should never forgive Damien for killing her. You know, that's a good point we can touch on there. I was glad as well that she didn't shake his hand. It hurt a little bit because, you know, Damien was doing his best to right the ship that he could, but then he actually understood in the end. He's like, I wouldn't forgive me either, so he's okay with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. In the end, Damien did the second most noble thing he could do, commit suicide, so that he would not have to kill anyone in Astra's name. The first most noble thing he did, in my opinion, was accepting his daughter for who she is, so that she could have the happiness she deserves. I know Nora and Ray are about to leave, but I wonder if it will be revealed that Damien killed himself because I was certain that Nora was going to come out of the door and see Damien die, believing that Sarah did it. That certainly would drive a wedge between them. Ooh, imagine if that happened.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Could be bad.
Damien's death may just be something that the show never speaks of again. We'll see. I will admit that I have not been incredibly interested in the Loom of Fate storyline, but the show has found a way to make it intriguing. It also opens up the show to many more narrative avenues. I look forward to coming face to face with Charlie's sisters to see how she deals with it. Something tells me that by season's end, Ray and Nora won't be the only ones to exit the Waverider. I suspect Constantine will leave, hopefully with the chance to revive his show again. I think Charlie, if she survives an encounter with her sisters, could find a way to fit into a revived Constantine show. Yeah. I don't think Gary would fit, though, so I could see him settling back onto the Waverider by season's end or the start of next season. Finally, I hope to God Mick doesn't leave, but the way he's been sidelined this year and then dropping the family storyline on him, the show seems to be laying the seeds for his exit. But I think staying on the ship with his daughter makes more sense. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully, I will post that pic of Mick. Remind me to do that, Harley. Okay. That should
I'll try.
Calm your worries about that. Yeah. But yeah, as for Charlie leaving to go with Constantine, I had suggested that. That's something I could see happening. And I think Gary will ultimately stay with Ava in the end. I don't know. I mean, you never know. He could be the comedy side for... he wouldn't work on Constantine. Constantine's too dark.
I don't think he would work well on Constantine. Yeah. I think if Constantine does get revived, that Gary would... I agree. Gary needs to stay on Legends. I think that would make more sense.
He would stay behind with Legends, working with, maybe John wouldn't allow him to come or something just for his safety.
Yeah, something like that.
But I could see Charlie going, yeah.
That would make more sense, I agree. We'll just have to see what happens.
Anyway, he finishes. Bottom line, this was probably my most favorite episode of the season. This season has been really good. Till next time, Legend airs. And that's from Carrie Johnson. Awesome, Carrie. Thanks so much for that fantastic email.
Yeah.
Next up, Arc Phase 2.0. Take it away, Harley.
Greetings, Wonder Twins. This episode seems to give another vibe that our few original legends may all be leaving, with Ray and Nora destined to leave by the end of the next episode. Sarah has been looking for a permanent job in Star City with the help of Wild Dog, but hopefully the talk with Ava ends that and keeps her on the ship. However, on the other hand, Mick and his realization that he actually has a daughter makes me think he might leave to actually be the father that his daughter is missing. I think we've talked enough about Mick. Yeah. I mean, I think we can quell that. I mean, obviously we know that Brandon and Courtney are done. I think that Sarah, I think it was just a way to explain, her missing time. I don't, and just a way to tie it back into Arrow. I would be shocked if it ends up with her and Ava leaving. I feel like they're there to stay, but I could be wrong.
They should. I mean, Sarah's the captain. I cannot see Katie Lotz leaving the show.
Yeah, I don't really either. All right. We get to finally see Ray and Nora tie the knot, and even with Damien returning to visit her again. I wonder if their marriage is considered legal if they didn't have an ordained minister or wedding officiant. Anyways, despite having become an encore to wreak havoc and collect souls, he ultimately chose to find his daughter and in the end resolved his issues with his daughter and accepted Ray. At least one thing that this showed us was that the Encores have their own free will to a certain degree based on an agreement with Astra. It's too bad that he returned just to die from his own hands. It would have been nice to see him around again. I really thought the Encore of the Week was done, but I guess not. Astra looks to be still collecting more souls for her to rule in hell. Speaking of Encores, I wonder what kind of hell ability or object Damien Dark had after he got resurrected, unless he wasn't given any because he had his own magic.
Oh, that's a good point.
It was his magic. At one point, his hands do glow green, which is the hell magic or whatever.
You're right. Yeah.
So his magic was his weapon for sure.
Yeah.
Right, now to the funny part. Seeing the group get sucked into Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac was funny, especially Carrie's unspeakable train abomination. Barad and Nate didn't have much of a role in this, but Constantine and Charlie came to their own agreement to find the loom, use it, and destroy it. Aren't they glad that Puppet Sarah and Ava taught them the lesson of talking things out? Yay for communication. That was me.
I totally forgot about the puppets. I was on them. They were funny, but not my favorite kind of funny.
The only reason it worked is because it was Mr. Rogers, Mr. Parker. Yeah. What, you know what I mean? Like, it's the only reason, and I thought it was pretty funny. It made me laugh. All right. He finishes. The final Ray and Nora episode is coming. Let's hope it will be a decent send-off for them. Regards, ArcPhase version 2.0.
Yeah.
I thought this was their last episode. Am I wrong?
No, we announced it on our show because it is their last episode, but I like I said, we just saw that little bit that they might get an actual send-off next episode. Maybe they're only in it for a couple seconds. Who knows? We'll have to see.
I don't know.
We'll have to see, hopefully. All right. We got another voicemail, and we've already heard from her, but she sent something in, I guess, because she forgot something. I don't know. Let's find out.
Hi, so it's me again. I just realized hours later that I had opportunity to talk about 3 of my favorite characters, and I let it pass me by. So first of all, Damien Dark was back, and he's so great. I just love him, and I really wish that they could pop him in and out of the program once in a while on a continuous basis, because he's just so fun to have in the show. Secondly, when Constantine was packing up to go to Antarctica or Arctic, I forget where he was headed, and he had Captain Colt's parka on, I think. So I just had to comment on that little throwback. That made me really happy in the moment. And thirdly, Heatwave has a kid. Heatwave is a dad. That's hilarious, and that is going to be a lot of fun going forward on the show. I know they're going to bring that in again. Even though he mind zapped them. But I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some opportunity to bring that back around. So looking forward to that. Okay, signing off again. Bye.
That's our normal Patty Spivot.
Yay, she's back.
Yay. She loves Snarts so much. Just any little hint about him makes her smile from ear to ear.
I know.
And see, I think a lot of people might be looking forward to seeing Mick play out a dad role just to see what he does. Could be fun.
Could be.
All right, and one last email. I love getting so much feedback. This is fun. This is from Talia Witt, who sent us in her catch-up pre-show feedback. Now she's here, all caught up, and she's actually with us. And she says, this episode was a lot of fun. I love that they brought Damien Dark back as an encore. His return allowed for a Nora-centric storyline and gave her good closure with her father. Also, the actor who plays Damien has amazing comedic timing that I missed. Well, I did enjoy the Avalanche story this episode, and finding out what Sarah was up to in Star City, I was kind of upset that they used their puppets to resolve it. I felt like it kind of cheapened the resolution. Oh, that's actually an agreeable perspective. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they will find the Loom and hopefully getting more backstory on Charlie's sisters as the season progresses. Finally, a quick question. Does Damien using the Hell Sword to kill himself mean that he no longer exists at all, or is he just back in hell? Tails. Not sure if this will make it in time. I will have to work out the time zones. Yeah, so we talked about that, Tails, already. And let us know if we're pronouncing that right, because it's Taelz. It looks like Tails, just a fancy way to spell tails, but it's cool. And yeah, don't worry, your feedback got in plenty of time. I'm on Mountain Time and Harley's on Eastern Time, so, we're 2 hours apart. You're okay.
Yeah. And we're almost always running late, so you're good.
Yeah. Now, yes, we talked about the Hell Sword killing himself, whether he is going to exist at all, and I think we're starting to lean towards that he is gone for good.
Yeah.
That's you get killed by one of those green weapons. That's it, I think. Otherwise, yeah. I don't think he would be so upset in saying goodbye and cry, because he had tears rolling down his cheeks when he was walking away.
It felt very final.
Yeah.
For sure.
If he was able to come back and see her whenever he wanted, he wouldn't be that upset about it. He was saying his final goodbye, and that's why I was crying. So, yeah, I think so. All right. Well, thank you, Talia. I'm so glad you're all caught up with us and stuff. That's kind of fun. We'll be very happy to have you along with us from week to week. As for the rest of you, thank you for all your feedback, and we'd still like even more feedback. Just follow these instructions to do that.
If you would like to be part of the show, you can send in feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com, spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends, also with one R. Join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
And there we are at the end of the episode. And at least we are going to give you a final farewell. We get to say goodbye.
Not permanently, but yes, we do get to say goodbye for this week.
Exactly. Goodbye for this week.
Oh.
So just remember to check out the various Twitter accounts we have at Tomorrow's Legends with one R, just like Talia found us. She joined the show through there, so tweet at us. Harley's on there all the time. She'll probably get to you before I do.
I try.
And then don't forget to check out the Mandalore podcast, my other show all about the Mandalorian. Currently we are talking about the Clone Wars, which has returned. So if you're into that, join me and David over there. I'd love to have you guys on board. You got anything else for us, Harley?
No, it was a good episode. It was a good discussion. It was fun. So that's pretty much all I got this week, I think.
Yeah, I think that's all I got too. That's like you said, we got next episode next week. Do you have a title for us at all?
I'd have to look it up. I try not to put them in there because I know you don't like. Yeah, I know you don't like them usually. So.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry.
That's good. That's it for us. I guess that's all we got. That's all I got. Have a good weekend, guys. This is The Flash signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.